Captain Vexithor stood in the cargo bay of the Celestial Dawn, his forearms crossed in what every species in the Galactic Coalition recognized as frustration. The two Krath cubs, barely 6 months old but already the size of Earth wolves, bared their crystalline teeth at him, their fur bristling with bioluminescent warnings that pulsed angry red across their muscular bodies. "This is intolerable," Vexithor hissed, his translator converting his native Quilarian into standard Galactic. These creatures were supposed to be domesticated. The Krath representative assured us they would be docile. The cubs growled deeper, their 6 eyes narrowing as they backed into the corner of their containment area. The larger of the two, a female with silver-tipped fur, crouched low, preparing to pounce. In the wild expanses of Krath Prime, such a stance preceded a killing strike. Ensign Marcus Webb watched from the doorway, his human instincts immediately recognizing the defensive posture. He'd seen similar behavior in frightened dogs back on Earth, though these particular puppies could probably tear through steel plating if sufficiently motivated. "Captain," Marcus said quietly, stepping forward with his hands visible and relaxed at his sides. "Not now, Ensign," Vexithor snapped, his upper arms gesticulating wildly. "I'm trying to establish dominance. The manual clearly states—" The cubs exploded into a cacophony of snarls, their claws scoring marks on the reinforced flooring. Several crew members backed away from the containment area, reaching for their plasma sidearms. "Captain," Marcus repeated, his voice calm but firm. "With respect, they don't like yelling." Vexithor's head swiveled toward the human, his facial membranes fluttering in irritation. "Ensign Webb, I have been commanding starships since before your species discovered faster-than-light travel. I think I know how to handle terrified babies?" Marcus interrupted, immediately regretting his tone but standing his ground. "Sir, permission to approach?" The Quilarian captain's scales rippled through several colors, a sign of internal debate that Marcus had learned to read during his 6 months aboard the Celestial Dawn. Finally, Vexithor's arms dropped to his sides. "You have 2 minutes before I sedate them and ship them back to the Krath Confederation with a formal complaint." Marcus nodded and moved slowly toward the containment area. The cubs' attention shifted to him immediately, their growls lowering in pitch but not ceasing entirely. He could feel the eyes of the entire bridge crew on his back, species from a dozen worlds watching the human do what humans inexplicably did best, something stupid in the name of connection. "Hey there," Marcus murmured, dropping to one knee about 3 meters from the cubs. He made himself smaller, non-threatening, and deliberately looked away from them, not meeting their multiple eyes directly. I know. Big scary ship, lots of noise, everyone's wound up tighter than a fusion coil." The female cub's ears, 4 of them, arranged in a crown around her skull, twitched forward slightly. Marcus took it as encouragement. "See, the thing about humans," he continued in that same soft, almost rhythmic tone, "is that we had a lot of practice with creatures like you. Back on Earth, we took wolves, actual predators that could hunt us, and over thousands of years we made them our friends. Called them dogs. Best decision our species ever made, in my opinion." He reached into his uniform pocket slowly, producing a piece of dried protein bar, technically his lunch ration, but he'd been saving it for exactly this kind of situation. Old habits from growing up with 3 rescue dogs died hard even in space. "Now, I'm not saying you're dogs," Marcus said, breaking the protein bar into smaller pieces. "You're clearly way more advanced. Probably smarter than me, honestly. But I'm saying that maybe, just maybe, we're not so different in what we need." He tossed a small piece of the bar toward the cubs, making sure it landed well short of them, no sudden movements near their faces. The male cub sniffed the air, his bioluminescence fading from angry red to a curious yellow-green. Behind Marcus, he heard Captain Vexithor start to speak, but another crew member, probably Lieutenant Cathara, who'd developed a grudging respect for human unorthodoxy, hushed him. "You're scared," Marcus continued. "Your parents or handlers or whatever you had got taken away. You're in a metal box flying through the nothing space between stars. Everything smells wrong, sounds wrong, feels wrong, and everyone keeps yelling at you like you're supposed to understand what's happening." The female cub took a tentative step forward, her nose working overtime to process the scent of the protein bar. Her sibling followed, emboldened by his sister's bravery. "The captain's not bad," Marcus said, his voice taking on an almost conversational quality. "He's just Quilarian. They're big on hierarchy, dominance displays, that whole thing. Works great for running a tight ship. Not so great for making friends with scared kids from a warrior culture. Another piece of protein bar, this one landing closer. The male cub stretched his neck out, sniffed it thoroughly, then delicately picked it up with his front teeth. His bioluminescence shifted to a soft blue. Contentment, Marcus had learned from the cultural database. There we go, Marcus smiled. Not poisoned, see? Just human food. Probably tastes terrible to your sophisticated palate, but it's the thought that counts. The female cub, seeing her brother suffer no ill effects, crept forward until she was within arm's reach of Marcus. Every instinct screamed at him to reach out and pet her, but he remained still, letting her investigate on her own terms. She sniffed his hand, his uniform, his face. Her breath smelled like ozone and something spicy, probably whatever the Krath used for nest marking. Then, in a gesture that made several crew members gasp, she pressed her massive head against Marcus's chest and made a sound somewhere between a purr and a rumble. Yeah, Marcus said softly, finally allowing himself to gently stroke the crystalline fur along her neck. I know, everything's going to be okay. We're taking you to the new colony world. Your parents are already there waiting. This is just the scary part in between. Every journey has one. The male cub, not wanting to be left out, pushed his way in for attention as well. Within moments, Marcus was surrounded by nearly 200 kilos of apex predator. Both cubs now glowing a peaceful blue and making contented sounds that resonated through the cargo bay. Captain Vexthor approached slowly, his posture significantly less aggressive than before. He stood beside Marcus, observing the scene with all four eyes. How did you know? The captain asked quietly. Marcus shrugged, continuing to stroke the cubs who had now decided his lap was the perfect place for a nap. Had a dog named Charlie back home, rescue. He'd been abused before we got him. Took months before he'd let anyone touch him. The secret wasn't dominance or training or any of that. It was just patience, understanding, speaking their language instead of expecting them to speak yours. Vexthor was quiet for a long moment. Then his scales rippled through a pattern Marcus had never seen before. Deep purple shot through with silver threads. Your species is very strange, Ensign Webb. Yes, sir, Marcus agreed, grinning as the female cub started snoring. But we did turn wolves into dogs, so maybe strange is what you need sometimes. The captain's facial membranes fluttered in what Marcus had learned to recognize as amusement. Perhaps, when we reach the colony, you'll be assigned as the cub's handler during transition. It seems they've chosen you. Marcus looked down at the two massive predators using him as a pillow, their bioluminescence now pulsing in sync, a sign of bonded littermates at peace. In the wild, Krath cubs were known for their ferocity and independence. In this moment, they were just scared children far from home, needing someone to tell them everything would be all right. Works for me, sir, Marcus said. After all, humans have been doing this for about 40,000 years. Might as well keep the tradition alive among the stars. As the celestial dawn continued its journey through the vast darkness of space, the cargo bay had never been quieter, or more filled with the strange, wonderful sound of interspecies trust being built one gentle word at a time.